inception, we're now working very, very close to 13 million milk bags out of the landfill.
Out of landfill.
And almost 23,000 mats have gone around the world.
And how long do you think the mats will last?
I think they'll last for years and years and years. I don't know. The bags are not biodegradable. So that means that unless these mats are actually cut with a knife or rubbed against stones or, I don't think that they'll wear out forever.
Isn't that something?
Yes.
Huh.
I have 2 milk bags in my garage that I hang on to just for, I don't know, my own quirky ways, but they were originals. And these milk bags have been around for over 50 years. And I have a a Seal Test and a Baxter's from the East Coast. Mm-hmm. 2 milk bags in my garage. And they're still there, and they will not fall apart.
Isn't that something?
I know. And if you wanted to see them, I just pull them right out.
And of course, they can't use bags that are biodegradable. I know it's a really interesting story about the fact that one of the large grocery chains decided to use a bag that from a formula invented in England. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, where the bags actually biodegrade within 2 years. But the grocery stores buy in such bulk. By the end of the first year, they were opening boxes of bags that were nothing but a pile of little flakes because they were biodegrading already. Mm-hmm. And then I have a bag of bags at the cottage that I've been using, and I went to use one last week in my green bin, and you pull it apart at the top to put it in your bag. So when I pulled it to open it, the whole thing just fell apart. I thought, oh, this is what biodegradable really is.
Yes.
And it's good that it biodegrades. It's sad that it biodegraded in my cupboard without me even using it. Apparently, if you put them in the fridge, they last longer. Who's got space in the freezer to put all the garbage bags? But the fact that the milk bags don't do that, it's for a purpose, because you can't have the milk in a bag that's going to break or doesn't have some substance to it.
Well, a bag of milk weighs 9 pounds.
That's heavy.
That's substantial.
Uh-huh.
So you need to have a hefty bag.
Right.
You have to have a good, strong bag to hold that.
Right.
Years ago, one company used to make a biodegradable bag. When I first started doing this, we used to have to pull them out of the system because we couldn't use them in a mat because the mat would get a hole in it. Okay?
Right, because it would biodegrade.
So what we did is we tested this. So we took we made one mat, a small mat, and we crocheted it out of the biodegradable bags, and we put them on a doorstep, and it got the sun and the rain and all the snow and the weather, right? And 3 years later, it turned into almost like a cornflakey type material.
Right, which is what it's supposed to do.
Right. But my mom has 2 mats on her front and back doorstep that she crocheted years and years and years ago when we first started, because she got into it when I got into it. And those mats have been through all the weather, and they're still on her back doorstep. And this is all these years of people wiping their feet on them, so actually treating them quite brutal.
Yeah.
Right? And the only thing that happened is the red on the Seal Test red faded to white from the sun. But the mat's perfect.
And now these are the ones that are not biodegradable.
That's correct.
Isn't that something?
So there you go. You can abuse these things and they'll still last for years.
Now, for a doormat, would the crocheted ones be better than the woven ones?
Yes.
Because they're
tighter and they're more dense. And when you wipe your feet on them, they're actually a little bit scratchy.
Yeah.
So you can clean your shoes off. So this is what my mother has on her back and front doorstep.
I think it's great. Every household should have them.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah. You forget how when people make something well, they often make it very well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Angela referred to the doormat, and I know one thing that some of the schools have been doing is making the small mats and using them as cushions for the kindergarten children to take into the gym, and they'll each have their individual spot to sit on, so they're not kind of touching their neighbor or whatever. And another school has made 30 of them and keeps them in a big Rubbermaid bin by the back door, so that if they want to go outside to the outdoor playground, everybody takes a mat out and they can sit on it. When I was in Girl Guides years ago, we used to call it a sit-upon.
I was just going to say that.
Take it with you and just go sit outside.
We had a sit-upon, but it was made with a garbage bag stuffed with newspapers.
Newspapers, exactly.
And that was our sit-upon.
That was it. But it's the same idea.
And you know what? The garbage bag had one major flaw. It's really slippery. So when you're sitting on it, you're literally wiggling all over. And when you've got a room full of kids all wiggling, it can be really disconcerting. So I think your ideas are much better with these milk bag mats.
Well, I had one kindergarten teacher say she wanted all these little sit-upons because she said when she was buying them from a cushion for each child to sit on, when it was during story time, these cushions were $14 each.
Oh, my goodness.
And so she had 25 of these in a bin, and every time it was time to read a story, she'd say, go get your little sit-upon, and they'd come, and they'd sit on their little cushion, or their little milk bag mat, that was 2 by 2, and they'd save the school a lot of money.
And if they did it together, I mean, those ones could be woven, couldn't they, if they're just being used as sit-upons?
Yes, they were woven, definitely woven. They were not crocheted,
right.
And they were woven by the students in their school.
Isn't
they
that
just had a
great?
Smaller frame. So it ended up that they made something that actually saved them money.
That is such a great thing. And that they're using, and then they can pass it down to their friends. And, you know, I can even imagine like a grade 6 walking by saying, I made that one. I made that one.
Yeah. I made the purple one.
And another wonderful use is using it as a garden kneeling pad. It's soft, cushiony. You don't care if it gets wet. You don't care if it gets muddy. You're going to rinse it off when you're done. So to take it out when you're doing your gardening to kneel on, it would be excellent.
I have done that.
I could have used that yesterday, so I'm disappointed that I'm hearing about it today. I'm thinking yesterday. Oh, my knees were killing me.
Well, I know a senior's place at Christie and Davenport who make these little ones and sell them for $3. And the reason why they do this is because they weave mats and they need blades for cutting the milk bags. They need wood for building the frames, and this is how they don't sell a lot of them. Maybe they sell 10, but you know, they use that money to help offset the cost of their supplies. And I think it's great. Why should one person always be buying the wood or the nails or the blades
or the cream for the studio at the radio station?
There you go.
Just saying. I'm going to offset my costs now. Watch me go.
So it just helps them. You know, and the seniors love it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's great. And we have so much more to talk about, but we need to take a little break. And I think because this is Canada Day, we need to hear one of my favorite songs. It was made a little bit famous by Roger Whittaker back in, I don't know, the day. And well, my kids tell me when dinosaurs freely roam the earth. But this is Michael Mitchell's version. One of my favorite Canada songs. Canada is a country made of love. You're listening to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson, and we'll be back right after this. Stay tuned.
Canada is the Rocky Mountains. Canada is Prince Edward Island. Canada is a country made for love. Canada is the prairie cowboy. Canada is the Yukon miner. Canada is a country made for love. We have love for our neighbors of whatever creed or color. We have love for our cities and our valleys and our plains. We have a voice that is calling, telling all the world we're willing to welcome them to this great land. And that's what Canada is. Canada is the Rocky Mountains. Canada is Prince Edward Island. Canada is a country made for love. Canada is La Belle Province. Canada is the Yukon miner. Canada is a country made for faith. We have faith in our future. We're ready for tomorrow. We have faith in our children, for our future's in their hands. We have a voice that is calling, telling us to keep on hoping, but time will make this vast land great, and that's what Canada is. Canada is the Rocky Mountains, Canada is Prince Edward Island, Canada is a country made for love. Canada is the prairie cowboy, Canada is the Yukon miner, Canada is a country made for peace. We have peace in our cities, we're happy and contented. We have peace in our valleys and our boundaries have no chains. We have a voice that is calling, telling all free men we're willing to show them how to live in peace, and that's what Canada is. Canada is the Rocky Mountains, Canada is Prince Edward Island, Canada is a country made for love. Canada is the prairie cowboy, Canada is the Yukon miner, Canada is a country made for love. Canada is the Rocky Mountains, Canada is Prince Edward Island, Canada is a country made for love. Canada is the prairie cowboy, Canada is the Yukon miner, Canada is a country made for love.
We're here in the studios of Whistle FM. I'm chewing on a Reese's Market Bakery muffin, which reminds me I have to give them a big shout out for giving us these beautiful, beautiful muffins in the studio this morning. They're oatmeal cranberry. Mm-hmm. And I think cranberries are good for you. And I've also got strawberries from Reese's too. So Reese's Market and Bakery at 5758 Main Street, and we're very happy to have this beautiful stuff in the studio.
And they are delicious.
Aren't they great? I love strawberries. Anyway, ladies, we're talking about milk bags and your milk bag unlimited, and that doesn't mean that you're making milk bags. It actually means that you're using milk bags, reusing milk bags, repurposing the milk bags, and saving literally millions of bags from becoming part of our landfill. Mm-hmm. You know, it's an interesting exercise. If anyone's going to the cottage this summer or up into vacationing spots, many times you don't get garbage service. It's a great trip to do with the family. Go to the dump. Mm-hmm. Nothing brings it more to life, the reason we recycle, the reason we do projects like this, than going to the local dump. And in Haliburton, every time I go to the dump, I wish I had a carload of kids with me. They need to see it. They need to smell it. They need to look at all the garbage and to see all the things that shouldn't be in the landfill, mm-hmm. but someone was too lazy to put them in the recycling. Mm-hmm. To see people who actually make money by picking through the garbage and finding reusable items or taking cans and bottles back to the beer store, and the money means something to them. People need to see this mm-hmm. because it's reality. And if we can be saving millions of bags from going into landfill sites, oh goodness, let's do this show every day of the week as far as I'm concerned. Let people know. And this is a wonderful thing, and it's fun. When I was doing that weaving, I thought, oh boy, I don't want to be the only grown-up in the place who's actually making mistakes and messing it up. It was fun.
It's fun.
So you miss a loop, you take it out and go back and do it again. Mm-hmm. It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm.
Every mistake can be corrected, mm-hmm. and whoever lies on it uses that mat. I keep telling students when I work with them, if somebody's lying on this mat, they're grateful for the mat. They don't care if there is a mistake in the mat.
And there's the one little spot that someone went over instead of under, so there's two overs instead of one over, one under. I think if you're lying on the mat and you see that little extra flat spot there, know that somebody with their hands made this mat for you.
And you'll never meet them. But it's a beautiful gift.
It's a beautiful gift. Mm-hmm. That was a really poignant quote you made in a little while ago with the man saying
yes.
to get his kids off the ground.
Yeah, because they sleep like dogs.
I love dogs, quite honestly. And
Well, I
my
do too,
dogs sleep
but
in my
when you
bed
go to
too
third
many
world
times.
countries and you see how the dogs wander,
Yes, and what
you
they're
know,
eating.
and what they're eating,
You
really realize that your children are nothing but, a dog.
yeah, in those
And
situations.
it's really sad. It's really sad in that situation,
Right.
not in the day-to-day life, but when they go to lay down at night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful to keep them off the ground. And oftentimes, in so much as a lot of these third world countries that we're talking about have dry conditions, there's also places where it rains for 6 months of the year. I was in Costa Rica last year when they had a freak rainstorm in February. It was supposed to be the dry season. Just note to the universe, dry season when Brenda travels. Wet season can start in May when it's supposed to. But anyway, it rained so hard that I took pictures of the rain because you could see it raining.
I know. I've
It's
been in Nicaragua during a rainstorm. I have never, ever seen it rain like that in my whole
It
life.
hurts when it hits you.
And it rained for 15 hours.
Yikes.
A road washed out. We had to go a different route in order to get back to the mission where we were sleeping because I was with women weaving mats. And the driver says, well, we can't take this road. It's gone. And I thought, well, another adventure. Maybe we were sleeping the night in the truck. Anyway, he got us back to where we were staying. But it rained for 15 solid hours. Just a downpour. I never saw so much rain in my life.
Wow, that's incredible. Mm-hmm. It's incredible to think that this mat keeps a child off the damp ground.
Yes.
You're also reminding me of the fact that these mats will be on the ground in the morning and the bottoms will be wet from the morning dew, but then they can hang these mats from a tree or a limb, and it can also be shelter, and sometimes it becomes their shelter throughout the day,
Yes.
either to keep them dry or to keep the sun off and provide shade. So it has that dual purpose of something to sleep on, but then as you hang it up to dry, it becomes a shelter for you as well.
So the next project is milk bag tents. Just saying. I'm just
It could
continuing it on. Extrapolation is what I do best. Watch me go.
It could be.
Yeah.
The ideas keep
I'm
flying.
looking at you two, and both of the light bulbs are going off. You know, I'm seeing the rod down the middle of the two bags. Anyway, so where have these bags gone to? We're talking a lot about the bag itself, but where have these mats gone to?
Okay, so what normally happens is the mats come to my house. So my half of the garage is my office. The happiest place where I live is my office, right? My garage. So I have people, because we make connections with people, and I don't like to use people too many times because then they feel as if they're, they're just saying, again, she wants me to come. So I have maybe 12 people, and they come and they take a load of mats down to Lakeshore and Dixie in Mississauga to a place called Canadian Food for Children. There's a man down there, his name is Dr. Andrew Simone, and he has been running a charity for years. Okay. And every single morning, today's Wednesday, that means right now, they are filling a container. Monday to Friday, they fill this container, and at 12 o'clock, these volunteers shut the door, and a truck takes things away, and they go to different ports, and they go to different places around the world. Now, the very first thing that goes in these containers, I can tell you, is food. Okay? So the very first thing, they start with a forklift. They pick up big pallets of rice and beans and lentils and pasta. Then you have places like Kellogg's or other companies that have granola bars or powdered eggs or flour or just some companies that they have an in with donate, or they buy food cheaply. Okay, it goes and it gets on the containers. But they use the milk bag mats when we bring them as packaging material. So in between the pallets, so they don't rock inside that container. Okay,
Isn't that
the
unbelievable?
milk bag mats go in between everything, so it's all cushy, and it goes as packaging material, and they stuff every hole because they pay by the container, I think, not by weight. So when we drive down there with a carload of mats, they open up the door and they go, oh, mats are here. And then they just start shoving them in all the holes. And they don't even really stay in the warehouse. Like, I was there 2 weeks ago, and the lady said, "Oh, we're shipping to Peru. Bring those mats right in." So I was right in the container. I was right in the box myself, helping to pack these mats. And then they go to at least 22 countries around the world, depending on where there's somebody to pick them up and to give them away. So they go as packaging material for no cost. Okay, and then when they get to the country of destination, they're given away to somebody in need. So that's how they get there.
Amazing. That is just so amazing.
Because we couldn't afford to send a mat.
No. They're heavy.
Yeah, and I took one mat one time to my post office, and I said, just pretend you're going to send this to Port-au-Prince in Haiti. And she said, this would cost, the cheapest rate I can give you is $50. Well, we've sent almost 23,000 mats.
And haven't paid a cent.
And I haven't paid a cent. The only time I ever paid for mats is because I had somebody in Burkina Faso, Africa, who wanted some. And I shipped them through FedEx, and I paid for them. So it cost me quite a bit, but I didn't even ask FedEx for I just wanted to send this man who wanted some mats. I paid for it.
Wow.
So.
And where have you been with the mats?
Haiti twice, and Nicaragua last fall. And I would have gone to Nicaragua at the beginning of May, but life right now in Nicaragua is not easy. No, and they are having a big revolt on the government, and there's been over 200 people killed.
Yep.
And there's at least 1,000 missing and at least another 1,000 that have been injured. So it's not the safest place to be. But as soon as I can get back there, I am going, because I train women down there how to make their own mats. And they either use them for their own purpose, for their own home. They give them away to seniors in hospitals who don't have beds. And they also, last Christmas, they were able to sell 8 of them to the community, and these women made $80. I don't take 1 penny from them. Okay, not 1 cent. It's up to them what they want to do with this mat. Mm-hmm. So they can keep it, they can give it away, or they can sell it. And if a woman can make $10 on a mat, just think, this woman who has no job has been able to now feed the family for a couple of days. And I love that.
Absolutely.
I just love it. I want to empower these women so that they can do this. I started this in Haiti as well. And yes, you can make a mat in a matter, not too long, like I said, in the morning or in an afternoon, but a handbag does take a lot of skill.
Right.
And you can get more for it, but if people don't have the money to pay for that bag, then you can't sell it very easily. So why not make the mats?
And like you were saying before, even if you're in a country like Nicaragua or Costa Rica or wherever, Panama down there, where, maybe somebody has an old mattress and the mattress is filled with bugs or whatever, you can put one of these on top of it.
Yes.
And now you're not sleeping with the bed bugs and all the rest of it, because they don't like that plastic. They're not going to go in it.
No.
Yeah. So it's a good thing. It has uses that are just endless. I mean, I'm thinking about it now, and I can think of all these different things that you can use them for. And these countries that you're speaking of, in South America and Central America, they have a rainy season, and it's not a couple of weeks. It's months and months of rain. They pave their roads in concrete because asphalt washes away.
Yes.
There are considerations when you're living in a rainforest kind of a climate.
What floored me about them being able to sell the mats for $10 was the fact that the daily wage down there is $1 a day. Most people are making $1 a day. So for one afternoon's work, they were able to make 2 weeks' wages by selling that. Mat.
And it is empowering. And I actually thought, way to go, ladies. You initiated this yourself, because, the first mats they made, they wanted them for their own home. And then I found out that this past February, so it was like last Christmas when they had the bazaar that they sold a few mats. But this past February, I found out that the women were making mats and donating them to the seniors in a hospital. And they said these Canadian women paid their own money, went down to Nicaragua. We can give too. So they were doing the same thing by paying it forward.
Right.
By saying, these women taught us, now we're going to give to people who are even worse off than we are. And I thought, wow, that's pretty amazing.
That's really amazing.
Yeah. They just
Really
weren't like,
amazing.
give me. Not at all.
Anyone that would check out the MILKBAGS Unlimited website would see what Angela's motto is. And this really hits hard with me. And the motto is, save the planet, empower the people. So we're saving the planet by reusing these plastic bags, recycling them and making a product. But the part that I love even more is empowering the people, either the people in Nicaragua to have a living, but even empowering our own youth and our own seniors and people here who have time on their hands to actually do something very useful with their time and make a change.
That's what I like about it. I like the whole circle thing. It's not just the people receiving. Yeah, they're getting something good, but it's the people who are making it who also have a good experience as well. And it keeps stuff out of the landfill. I mean, it's the complete package.
It is. It is.
And, you know, I have 3 sons, like I said. I don't think they want any more hand-knit sweaters from me. They've been there, done that, you know. But now I can make something for somebody else that, you know, I don't even know who these people are. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's lovely, you know, and yet I fulfilled my need to create because I'm crafty. I like that.
Yep. And, you know, I'm an expressive arts practitioner. So I use arts as a way of expressing yourself.
Yes.
And when those kids are standing around that loom and they're all talking, and they're talking to another kid that they probably on a regular day wouldn't talk to. I mean, I was the kid who was bullied all the way through school and high school.
Yeah.
I was the one who, one of our graduates from my class in high school passed away 2 years ago, and someone said to me, "Oh, I know you'll want to go to the funeral." And I think to myself, I went to school with this young man from grade 1 to grade 13, and not once did he ever say hello to me. Not once in all of those years. And his best friend, who was voted, you know, most likely to succeed, and this great guy, sports guy, blah, 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 he'd look around on the street. If there was no one else around, he would nod his head.
Wow.
That's it. But never had a conversation with him. And you asked me at the high school reunion, "So how are you? What have you been doing?" And I'm thinking to myself, recently or since I was 6? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are those kids. And if you do something like this where they're all working together in the same room, maybe I would have had a conversation with Joe. Maybe I would have had a conversation with Dave. You know what I mean? That
They're all equals.
yeah,
Well,
it
I was
equalizes everybody, but it includes everybody.
I was at a high school, a big one, in Unionville. And there were a lot of students there. And they were all weaving or cutting or tying bags. And the teacher in charge, there always has to be a teacher there, looked at me and says, "Oh, they're having so much fun, but look at that one girl over there sitting on a chair." So I looked over. She was on her phone, and she was scrolling. And she said, "She's the only one who's not engaged." She said, "The rest of them are having a blast." And I just think we need to have more outlets for our youth, and this is one way.
Absolutely.
This is a fun way for them to help the world and help their fellow man.
Well, this has become sort of my mantra of late, is the fact that the World Health Organization used to say that there were 3 necessities of life: food, water, and shelter. And now they say that there's 4: food, water, shelter, and connection.
Oh, really?
That connection, community, friends, that actually can increase your lifespan by 7 years.
Wow.
If you put a pill on the market that increased your lifetime span by 7 years, there'd be a lineup down the street 7 times over.
Yeah.
So the fact that we can do an activity like this that is helping in so many ways, gets MILKBAGS out of the landfill sites, gives people something to do, connects them with their neighbors and friends, puts everyone on an even playing field, and helps somebody somewhere around the world. It's a win-win-win-win-win.
All the way around.
All the way around.
You're reminding me of Mother Teresa, or Saint Teresa now, in terms of, yes, you've got to give them that love, that feeling of being connected, along with those other things that they need in life.
Yep.
And Dr. Simone met Mother Teresa years ago and wanted to give her some money. And Mother Teresa said to him, God doesn't want your money. He wants your time and talent. Go home and reflect. And that's where he started Canadian Food for Children. And when I talk to either church groups or senior groups or children, I say, this is what you're giving. We're not asking you today to bring in money, Civvies Day money for a special product. We're asking you to give some time and share your talent by making these mats.
Yep.
I often say to kids, have I asked you for any money today? And they look at me and they go, no. I said, have I asked you for your hands and for you to help? And they say, yes. And I say, who wants to help? And every hand in the gym goes up.
And that's how it should be.
They get it.
They get it.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the two different people. The one that just says, yeah, here's some money and walks the other way. And the one that goes home and makes the chicken soup and hands out the soup. Made with love, made with kindness, given in the most special way to make people feel better. And, you know, we need the money. There's no question
You
of that.
have to have the money in order to move things. Yes.
But, hey, we need the hands-on, and it's just as valuable. People who say they don't have enough money to give to charity, you have something even more valuable.
Yes.
You have yourself.
Yeah.
Give yourself, even if it's just once or twice a year. We're going to take a little break now. Before we do, I'd like to play a really cool song called The Water Song. Now, this is a First Nations song that blesses the water and lets us know how precious it is. We've talked a lot about rain that can be damaging and gets kids wet, but water is a really precious commodity. So, in honor of Canada Day and our First Nations, I'd like to play Nibi Wabo in honor of our water.
Granddaughter, the water can hear you. The water has memory.
Water is the lifeblood of our mother, the earth. Water is the lifeblood of our own body.
Continue to pass on the knowledge that needs to be given unto the other generations. You are the keeper of the water.
The change in this life condition that we're in, that great-grandchildren will stand up to to this truth of what life is about and to live it in such an honorable way, the way ancestors came to this earth.
Each day when the sun rises, no matter how bad the day before might have been, there's a new chance for your hopes and dreams. And I say, Chimigwech, thank you for singing the water song.
Nibi wabo endayen aki miskwi nibi wabo heya 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 hey heya 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 ho.